Today I got the chance to check ZV-1 in a safari. I took this camera ZV-1 by Sony into two of my safaris, the morning safari and the evening safari to vlog. So far I've been vlogging with the GoPro. This time I wanted to change the setup, so I asked Sony to lend me a demo unit for the ZV-1 and they were kind enough to send it across. And I took it to two of the safaris to see how the image stabilization works, how the picture quality is, what kind of features are there that ZV-1 offers. Of course, wildlife is about extreme conditions, a lot of dust, a lot of fog, a lot of mist. So it was an extensive testing that the ZV-1 was put to. But I'm going to tell you from my perspective as well as from a normal buyer's perspective if the ZV-1 is an ideal camera for you as a vlogger or a content creator on YouTube or not. So the first thing I'm going to talk about about this camera is the build. Pretty compact, pretty small. You can look here. It's just smaller than the size of my palm. So very compact. You can simply slip it into your pocket. You can put it in your bag. Very easy to use. Very convenient to take it anywhere along. Especially during safaris when there's a lot of jerk, there's a lot of movement. It's very convenient to just mount it on either a gorilla pod or if you're investing into the stick that can be ordered with the ZV-1. Pretty convenient, just very small, and I absolutely love the fact that it's super compact. It's a point and shoot. You cannot get rid of the lens or you cannot change the lens. So as a point and shoot camera, it's pretty compact. And of course, travel vloggers, wildlife photographers, and people are always on the go. For them, one major positive that the camera has is its size and compact build. Of course, this is all plastic, so you will feel plastic when you hold this. With the build comes how the button placement is. So on the top, you will see that this is totally separate button for record, the red button. So it's pretty convenient when you're facing the camera. Second thing is the mode. So you can quickly change all the modes with this button, whether it's a movie mode or it's a high frame rate mode. Then of course on-off button is there on the top. There are no other dials here like we have in other Sony cameras. Then the zoom out, zoom in button is there, and then you have the custom one button. There's just one custom button on the top, and then here at the back you have the FN button, which provides you shortcuts for all the functions, the menu button, and then you finally have a dial. By default, you have to click one side of the dial and move it to change the ISO. Then there's a delete button and then there's a playback button. Another thing is the pull-out screen. You can tilt it and it's very convenient for people who vlog. So you can simply move it like this. You can mount the camera and you can simply look here, simultaneously looking at your face. So that is also a major plus point that the camera offers, and that's why it is considered as a vlogger's camera. At the top, you also have a hot shoe where if you are planning to attach a separate mic or anything else, you can attach it here. Usually when I use this, I attach a Rode Go mic here. And it kind of adds to the audio quality a great deal. Of course, it has an internal mic also. I have done an extensive mic testing here. I did it when the Jeep was stop, when there was no external noise, and then there was another test when the Jeep was moving and there was a lot of noise. I hear setting already. This is the mother, this is not the timeless that we saw yesterday. Somebody else told us कि अपने बच्चों के साथ में आकर दिखते, and they must be moving around with the बच्चे को grasp से. तो अगर ये tiger का लग रहा है, so this can be another addition to the diet that पिछले institutions में tigers move कर रही है, but बहुत नहीं. Reason being perhaps she has small cubs or whatever, but we are still very unsure of that. Calls वगैरह कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं हुई है, और पता नहीं चला exactly. यहाँ पर बहुत सारे rivers हैं, so we might move towards the other side. Just tracking it. Come across something, some sign or something. Next is the autofocus of the camera. Of course, Sony is known for the autofocus, so that is one pretty good thing in the camera. It quickly focuses. I have tested this. Here is an example wherein I'm bringing the key in and out of the frame constantly, and you can see how conveniently it's catching up with the focus. The moment I bring the key inside, it catches the focus, and the moment I take the key outside, it can easily focus at the back on the Gypsy. So that is one very good thing that it offers to the vloggers, because even if you're moving or even if the Jeep is moving, it can conveniently maintain focus. One thing I noticed was when the light was low at that time, the camera struggled to maintain focus on the face. Of course, there is eye focus, eye priority. So these are the modes that help a lot. When you're recording and looking onto the screen, you will see a box on your face, a box on your eye. So it kind of is an indication that the camera is holding on to the focus on your eye and the face, of course. But when I started in early in the morning, when the light was considerably low, at that time the camera was missing the focus constantly. Then we have the stability test for you, which is very important for somebody like me. In this, the road was super bumpy and the stabilization was switched off. And here, the road was not that bumpy, but the stabilization was switched on. Now you have two modes, active and normal. In the next example, the road was extremely bumpy, like it is in a safari, and I switched on the stabilization. This one is on the normal mode, and this one is on the active mode. The only negative of the active stabilization is that if you have switched it on and if you're simultaneously recording, there's a crazy crop. So it looks like the face is too close to the camera and it might not look very good and very pleasurable to the eyes of the people who are looking at the footage. So that is one drawback. Okay, then there's another interesting feature which ZV-1 also has and ZV-10 also has, skin smoothing. So this is something a lot of vloggers have been looking forward to. Me too, actually. So skin smoothing is another feature, and it comes in low, mid, and high. So if you want a crazy high level of skin smoothing, you can switch it on to high. I normally shoot on the medium level, the mid level, and it actually is doing the job pretty well. You can check here without the smoothing and with the smoothing. This one is with skin smoothing switched off, and you can see the face. It's just to test how the skin smoothing looks. Now I'm gonna switch it on. Okay, looks a little better. This one is with skin smoothing switched on, but it's on the low mode. So I'm just going to bump it up a little and see how it looks on the high mode. Okay, there you go. Here the skin smoothing is on the high mode, and I think the job is pretty well done, but it looks a little too smooth. So I think low and medium works for me. This one looks a little artificial, but you can pick and choose whichever works for you. The job is pretty well. The camera is doing the skin smoothing job a little too well. There's a great deal of difference, and yeah, I think this is something that people like me who are kind of always in working in the mud, in the dust, they can switch it on to at least look presentable on the camera. So that is pretty good. Now let me tell you about a couple of negatives also. The first thing and one of the most irritating things that I came across was the direction of the ports. If you mount your mic here, the wire has to go all the way from here to here, which is kind of irritating because the wires on such mics are considerably small and it's kind of a hindrance altogether. So I think that it would have been better if the ports were towards this side, and or maybe the hot shoe was towards this side, so that at least it's easy for us to mount the mic and use it along with the wire. Another thing that I did not quite like was the battery life. I charged it full in the morning and I shot for 3.5 hours approximately for this during the safari, and the battery was almost at the verge of ending. Last May I had to switch it off because the battery was almost dead. So 3.5 hours of battery life, and it's not like I was continuously shooting. I was shooting on and off. I was switching it on. I was checking the menu system. I was constantly changing the settings, but it was not a very extensive use of the camera for sure. So if you are somebody who wants to create content on the go, then you will have to carry a power bank along with it. So it's not like you can charge it in the morning and it'll last you 6-7 hours or something. You will have to add a power bank to your kit, and if it's something that you can solve, or maybe a couple of extra battery packs, then I think it's definitely considerable. So concluding the entire story, this is a pretty cool point and shoot by Sony, which is definitely suitable for content creators and YouTubers and travel vloggers and all sorts of vloggers where a lot of crazy movement is not involved. Obviously, we have action cameras for those kinds of moments. It was a little unreasonable of me to put it to such an extensive use. A little unexpected, it performed considerably well.
The good part of a couple of features that I really liked about the camera, first is the compact build. Very convenient to carry, very convenient to hold. Besides that, the stabilization is also pretty considerable, active and normal stabilization both. The skin smoothing effect is pretty good for vloggers. And in addition to that, you can simply mount it on a Gorilla Pod and just hold it and conveniently just talk into the camera with because the focusing will be taken care of. The eye focus is there, the face focus is there, priority focus is there. So the autofocusing will be taken care of, and the screen, which is can be pulled out and can be tilted and it rotates 360 degrees. That is one of the best parts, because while you're talking into the camera, you can actually look at your face, so you don't need an external monitor. So those are the features that I really liked about it. A couple of features that I think are missing in it. First, 4K 120 FPS is not there, so that is a drawback. You can only shoot 120 FPS in the HD mode. The second one is that when you're on active stabilization, the face is very close to the camera, which is again a bummer. Of course, we can't change the lens. They've given ZV-E10 for that. And what else? The low light performance. So beyond 800 to 1000 ISO, I felt the footage was not very good. It's still considerable, but you can make your own decision. If you're not somebody who shoots a lot in the low light, then definitely this is a good buy. But if I total it and if I look at all the features it provides in the kind of cost it comes in, I think it's a pretty usable deal. It's a pretty good deal. And you can definitely consider investing in this camera if you are somebody who's planning to start vlogging.